This is lesson 5.7, scatter plots and trend lines. So we'll just jump right into it. A scatter plot is a graph that looks like this, where there are lots of points scattered all around, plotted. They're not necessarily in a straight line. They're just kind of scattered all over. Scatter plot. Now, when we look at lines, we say that lines have a slope. When we're looking at a scatter plot, we say that scatter plots have a correlation. Okay, correlation is the general pattern of the points, the way that they're kind of traveling. So just like with slopes, we can have a positive correlation. Notice how these points on this graph seem to be pretty much looking like they're going up and will continue to go up. Even though they're not in a straight line, they're in a general positive pattern. Also, just like with slope, we can have a negative correlation. Here again, it's not a straight line, but you can tell the general pattern is that it's kind of going down. So that is a negative correlation. Remember, we read our graphs left to right, just like a book. So it's going down here. And finally, we can have no correlation. This means there's no real pattern. They're all just kind of all over the place. I can't tell if they're going up. I can't tell if they're going down. I really don't know. There's no correlation at all. Now with our scatter plots, we will sometimes be asked to draw in a trend line. A trend line is a line drawn in the scatter plot near or in the points. Okay, now let me tell you, here I just kind of drew this line because I liked it there. Some of you may look at this and go, really, I think the most accurate line would be right here. And that's still okay, that's still right. A trend line is an estimate, so it's really up to you where you put that line, as long as it kind of looks like it's about even right in the middle, doing the same pattern as the points are. It's just a line that represents the trend of all of the different points on the graph. Of course, if we don't have a correlation, then there's no way that we could draw a trend line. If it has a positive correlation, like this graph, you better make sure that your line has a positive slope. Writing an equation of a trend line. You will be asked to do this, and the first thing that you need to do is actually draw in a trend line. So how I like to do this is I try to look for 2 points that are clearly defined. I notice right here, this point is right in the middle. It's perfectly at 2, 6. And I also notice this line here, or this point, is perfectly at 7, 8. If I were to draw a line between these points, it looks like a line that would fit that data. So I'm going to go ahead and I will draw a line through these points. Oops. Now notice that it asks us not just to draw in a trend line, but to write an equation for this trend line. Okay, so we have a couple options here. First, we can look, we have numerous different equations, correct? We know our point slope form, which is y minus y1 equals mx minus x1. And we also know our slope-intercept form. Slope-intercept is y equals mx plus b. Okay, so there are 2 things that we need. If we decided that we're going to use our point slope form, we would need a slope and we would need a point. That is something we have. We actually have 2 points here, and we can figure out our slope pretty easily. If we wanted to use y equals mx plus b, we would need a slope and we would need a y-intercept. Here our y-intercept, it doesn't look exact. It doesn't quite cross here at 5. It's a little bit above that. So I can't use my y equals mx plus b form. But I can go on ahead and use my point slope form. So I'm going to go ahead and rewrite my equation for point slope form just to make it a little nicer. That's y minus y1 equals mx minus x1. Now remember, the only numbers that we change is we are going to find a y value and plug it in. We're going to find a slope and plug it in. And we're also going to find a x value and plug it in. Our original y and x, not the y1 or the x1, but just the plain old y and x, those values are just going to stay the same. So my first step is to try to find my slope. I know that slope is rise over run. So I'm going to go between my 2 points here. I have this point and this point. And I'm going to count my rise. I go up 1, 2. So my rise is plus 2. Then I need to count my run. I go to the right 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So my run is going to be plus 5. When I write out my slope, again, it's rise over 1. We said my rise is 2 and my run is 5. So my slope will be 2 over 5. Then we can go through and pick any point on that line. I'll pick this first point. This is at 2 in the x-axis, and it's up to 6 in the y-axis. So that will be the point 2, 6. That means 2 will replace my x1 value, and 6 will replace my y1 value. We'll write that all in. Y minus my y1 value, again, we said that's going to be 6 because that's in my y spot, equals m, our slope, which we found to be 2 over 5, x minus x1, our x value was 2, so it'll be minus 2. That is a perfect equation. Now, if somebody else were to do this equation, they may have drawn a different line, which means they would have completely gotten a different formula. That's okay. These trend lines, again, are estimates. So your answer and your friend's answer are going to be totally and completely different. It's just an estimation. Now, of course, we can't cut off this lesson without a joke, so my best friend's favorite joke. What did the snail say when it was riding the turtle? Whee! Ha ha ha. All right. See you guys in class. Bye.